Hello, everybody. We have participants from all over the world today, and I welcome you all to the webinar on Next Generation Customer Engagement Management for Utilities. Today, we have with us Jill Feblowitz, Vice President, IDC Energy Insights, and Perzad Avari, Director, Energy and Utilities, HCL Technologies. They will be sharing their thoughts and analysis on the significance of customer engagement for the utility industry and how utilities can catch up with customer expectations. Jill is a recognized thought leader in the application of information technology to business problems of the energy industry. As an analyst, her understanding of the industry needs is grounded in experience of over 25 years working as a consultant and in the field. Jill has been a consultant to many energy companies and helped them in constructing their IT strategy to fit the dynamic needs of the industry. Perzad is the Director of Strategic Programs for HCL America and heads Engage, which is HCL's customer engagement and billing platform for utilities. In his 14 years of experience, he has been a consultant and a solution architect for various cutting-edge CIS transformations involving customer engagement and cloud-based services. Now, I would hand over the session to Jill. Jill, over to you.
Thank you very much, Sweta. I'm Jill Feblowitz, and I'm going to be talking to you today about customer engagement, catching up with the customer. We'll start first by discussing the changing utility customer. Then we'll explore what utilities' response has been to those changes, and then finally talk about how you as a utility can get to the next level. So it may not seem to be a surprise to you that the utility customer these days is changing rapidly. No matter where you are in the world, there are some new business conditions associated with the utility industry and new ways that customers are interacting with their utility, whether it's a gas utility, an electric utility, or a water utility. Electric utilities particularly are seeing a lot of changes. Their customers have a lot more options. Where it used to be that if a utility was in your area, you had very little choice but to go to them for supply. Now there are many more choices. In Europe, for example, there are a lot of options in the deregulated market, but there are also some other options. So as a utility customer, you could go off the grid or reduce substantially your use of electricity. Solar by ownership or lease of the customer has become very popular and in some cases has risen to huge amounts in so much as it's impacting the grid. So if a customer wants to create their own electricity on site, they now have the option to do that. There are many more smart home systems out there, and a customer can go to a big box retailer and buy electronics to use in their home to really better manage their energy use. Now, of course, this is something that utility companies encourage because they want to help their customers conserve, but it also means that there's some revenue loss on the part of the utilities as well. In some ways, by demanding less gas, water, electricity, your customer is still engaged with you, but paying you less. Then, looking into the future, we see the emergence of microgrids as being another means of substituting for more traditional utility service. Again, this is with the electric utilities where communities, campuses, industrial parks can really become self-sufficient and not need to rely on the more traditional central generation grid. So these communities have their own sources of generation or other energy. They have their own storage facilities. many more options are coming about there. And then finally, and this is probably in the further future, there are battery-powered homes. And in essence, it might be possible to rely on that battery as storage and be able to leave the utility. So there are a lot more options than there were in the past with the utility customer. But the customer in general is changing. Utility customers are customers of all kinds of different services. They have a retail experience. They have a financial services experience. With everyone that supplies the customer, whether that be residential customers or commercial or industrial customers, these customers are changing a lot. And what's changing in their life is the penetration of new technology, the always-on technology of mobility. In the retail industry, we can just see a snapshot of the different ways that customers are engaging with their retailers and the different ways that retailers are creating a customer experience. So customers now are expecting a connected lifestyle, an always-on relationship, and that is based on that relationship and where a customer has personal control. They want now instant gratification, personalized fulfillment, and offerings of an intelligent store that can get them what they want before they even know what they want. They're looking at a value-based economy that's hyper-personalized, hyper-personal, and that also has some kind of personal accountability. And also there's more of a participatory feel. So more social influence and the art of rating everything and social responsibility. So this comes not just with being connected via mobile devices to things like websites, but being connected to things like mobile apps and social business networks. The customer, which is a utility customer, is seeing all these things in other parts of their lives with other providers and is really coming to expect that from the utility. So we've seen a changing utility customer. The customer has more options, and they have a new way of relating to all their suppliers of services. So what's been the utility response to their customer in recent years? Well, there was pretty much of a low point in customer satisfaction with utilities in different parts of the world several years ago. Now in the United States, that customer satisfaction has gone up. Quoting a study from J.D. Powers, who every year conducts an electric utility residential customer satisfaction study. Overall customer satisfaction with residential electric utilities has increased year over year, driven primarily by improvements in corporate citizenship and outage communications. So there's been some uptick in customer satisfaction because utilities are showing that they are more conscious of the environment and sustainability, and also because they've gotten a lot better at outage communications. And I think this is driven largely by the events that happened in the recent past with extreme weather, where many customers were experienced outages. So there have been some initiatives in that area, and there have been some limited initiatives in some other areas. Utilities are experimenting with mobile applications for their consumers that allow them to see their consumption, and some have been even experimenting with gamification. By that we mean setting up games where people can compete with each other about how good they can be on reducing their consumption. But the story is not all goodness and light. There's still a lot of room to grow for the majority of utilities. Citing the study again from J.D. Powers, the percentage of customers visiting their utilities website via their smartphone or tablet has more than doubled in 2014, with visits via smartphone increasing 54% from 26% in 2013, and visits via tablet increasing to 52% from 20% per year. But, and here's the catch, more than 40% of utilities do not have mobile optimized channel to access their website. While the desktop laptop is primarily used to access account information or make payment, mobile is important for reporting an outage or getting an outage update. And for the newer generation, making payment is getting more and more mobile. So utilities are just covering a piece of the pie of their customers in their customers' ways that they would like to interact. There's a lot more to be done. And utilities are making investments in customer care and billing systems, and we project that those investments will continue. Overall, just to give you an idea globally, the amount of money that utilities spend on customer care and billing software is about $1.2 billion, and that's 2014. And we globally, the amount that is being spent has a combined annual growth rate globally of about 6%, which is a little higher than what average investment level is in software related to customer care and billing. Now, that does not include services. When we look at U.S. utilities, 46% of U.S. utilities will invest in customer care and billing solutions in 2016. That's a lot of investment. And how are they going to be investing? Well, the interesting thing about the investment is they're going to be primarily investing in enhancements and upgrades to their existing customer care and billing solutions. So a majority will be 22% of all the changes that are going to be made in 2016. 22% of those utilities are going to be taking that approach to their investment. What this means is that legacy customer care and billing systems will likely stay in place. And these tend to be really billing systems that produce the bill, but they don't have as much functionality when it comes to relating to a customer and understanding in each interaction, how does a customer interact with the utility and what the customer wants and needs from their utility company. So utilities are investing. They're going to be investing in enhancements, and those enhancements are going to need to be significant to some of the legacy systems that are already in place. The important thing to note about this is that it's not that easy to attach enhancements to your legacy systems that are already in place. They're complex. They don't always integrate easily with each other. There may not be data warehouses that will allow access to all information about a customer, whether that's structured or unstructured. And so that's why we say there is risk associated with this overhaul. So what do utilities need to pay attention to? What do they need to do to meet this new environment of the changing utility customer? Well, we've divided that into two areas. One area is customer service, and it's not a surprise that customers want good service. And they expect service, and they expect that otherwise they will go to other options. So in the customer service area, we're looking at Things like billing. They want to be able to get a correct bill. They want to get it on time. We're looking at budget billing. They want to be able to sign up for that very easily. Move in and move out. They want to be able to move in and move out of their home fairly quickly with little hassle, and so they don't get charged extra for meters that might have been on after they've moved out. They want to know when there are outages, and they also want to know when outages are being resolved or when they expect to be resolved. They want to be able to schedule a visit by a field service rep for the utility, and they want to be able to do it easily and make sure that that rep shows up on time. And they also want to be able to manage their energy much better. So what does that mean about the capabilities that a utility has to have? Well, they have to be able to do a quick study of a customer. So resolution at first call, or if they're not doing a call, if they're doing a text or they're doing a live chat or they're even tweeting about something, get that done very quickly, not have that drag on. Omni-channel communication. So customers want to communicate with utilities in whatever their channel of preference is. So could be text message, could be voice, could be email, could be going to the website, could be Facebook, could be Twitter, could be Instagram, could be Snapchat. And the thing that you really need to do is have some kind of a system that will orchestrate that communication with the customer based on their preferences. So, for example, you may want to know when an outage is going to be resolved via text message, but you may want to pay your bill, for example, by going to the website. And the system should know that. Self-service is a given. People want to have the capability to do self-service on their own. And from a utility perspective, utilities have to be able to do this at a reasonable cost to serve. The good news about this is that many of the new technologies are much less costly than the old, bill stuffer, paper-based way of relating to the customer, and they can return considerable savings to utility on a per-interaction basis. The next thing is marketing. So from a marketing perspective, you're looking at marketing traditional programs like energy efficiency programs, demand response programs, maybe energy education, HVAC services if a utility offers that. And also marketing completely new services. So if utilities want to get ahead of the curve on their customers going away and adopting solar from a company that might lease it to them, they may want to offer leased solar to their customers. They may want to offer microgrids. They certainly want to offer prepay options. So all these are new marketing initiatives, and there has to be a way that the utility can attract the customer. So, again, the quick study of the customer is to know what that customer wants, know how they buy, know what they're looking for. Omni-channel communications, of course, is important here as well. Multiple sources of customer information. You want to be able to not only get a hold of information that you have in-house about your customer and pull it together and make it easily accessible to whatever way they're interacting or whatever rep they're interacting with. But you also want to be able to have information from the outside. And you want to do all of this to address the new churn. What do we think are must-haves in this situation? What do utilities need to do to get to the next level? Well, they need to continue to do hard work. And the hard work they've always done in the past is still important. To be able to integrate traditional business applications like customer information systems, meter data management, outage management, work and asset management, and enterprise resource planning. And services, whether they be credit and collections or phone lookup, or even using some kind of software as a service to supplement for their existing staff. If that be a call center that's working on a service, that's good too. And they'll need to be able to have that integration to have a customer-centric view of all the interactions that they've had with that customer. They need to be able to enable workflow across the roles and business units for quick response to customers. So the metering department needs to talk to customer service, needs to talk to accounting. They need to streamline data management and access for role-based presentation and analytics for decision-making. So things that will make it easier for the marketers to appeal to the customers, or for the customer service reps or live chat folks to understand the customer and appeal to what they want. And they need to be able to consider third-party service providers to lower the cost to serve. That's where I brought in some of the SaaS options or some of the business process outsourcing options out there. What about from a new perspective? And this is where they need to pay attention to what's new. They need to be able to do an assessment of how they currently engage with their customer and what systems are involved. Many utilities have not done this recently, and they need to refresh that. They need to be able to enable new work processes that come with the adoption of big data and analytics, cloud, mobility, and social business through things like videos and scripting for their staff and other learning tools. They need to be able to use third-party data services and social business to help them understand the customer. They need to be able to deliver service and standard compliant messaging through the channel of choice and investigate predictive and cognitive analytics to get closer to a reasonable cost to serve to lower that cost of responding. In conclusion, I would like to mention also that they need to be able to work with trusted advisors that know the utility business. So just in sum, getting to the next level and preparing for the future, understand that new business models are on the way. Understand also that rapid advancements in technology will continue to surprise us. And then finally, have your strategy and contingent planning in place to continuously upgrade and improve and evolve how you engage with your customer. And now I'm going to turn this over to Perzad. Perzad?
Thanks, Jill. Hi, this is Perzad Avari from HCL, and good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are. So I'm going to talk about the options available in meeting the evolving expectations of today's consumer. So from Jill's analysis, and if we look at the results of J.D. Power's surveys over the last 5 years, a new paradigm in customer expectations is evident. Customer expectations from the utility provider were simple. They wanted reliable service, it needed to be affordable, and when they spoke to an agent, they wanted good customer service. However, today it's all about customer experience. They want to access information and fulfill requests at the tip of their fingers, either online or on their smart devices, on their time and via their preferred channel. Not only that, this experience must be omnipresent. So what does that mean? This omnipresence means consistent information across all channels through the entire life cycle of the customer. So from research results and from our own experience, we're seeing that when you meet these expectations, they become much better customers. They don't call us as frequently, they make their payments on time, and guess what? They cost much less to serve for the company. Drastically less when you provide a customer engagement platform. So customer engagement is basically a win-win scenario for utilities, and not just for all utilities, not just retailers, but suppliers and distributors for gas, electricity, and water. Why? Because it increases customer satisfaction and lowers cost to serve, two imperatives for all utilities. So what is a customer engagement platform? The customer information systems available in the market today serve as systems of record because they serve as a source of information and lack the functionality necessary for customer engagement out of the box. When you place a multi-channel platform and provide the capabilities in the blue box, to engage your customers along with the functionality built in your CIS platform shown in the orange box above. You're coming close to meeting all their expectations today. Some of these capabilities, such as email, web, mobile, bill and payment alerts, have become table stakes and are considered a given by customers. So, however, this isn't a big bang approach, and utilities must constantly evolve with their customers, and therefore not only must your platform be robust, it also needs to be scalable. So why are utilities playing catch-up when you compare them to other industries or maybe even other utility providers like internet and cable and telecom? The biggest reason we're being stated is technology. No single platform provides all these functions out of the box end to end. It's also expensive, not only to build it, but also to support it, because you have a growing technology stack as expectations evolve. Smaller utilities can spend up to $75 a customer in modernizing their standalone CIS system, and the cost rises with additional functionality that you add for customer engagement. The third reason we're being given is that every internal initiative that involves some capital investment is surrounded by risk. Financial risk basically of it costing more than budgeted amounts, risk of timelines being overrun, more bandwidth from resources being needed, and the biggest one we're being given is, will we really attain all the benefits as part of the business case? Or, it may be even the other way around. Hey, we've architected the technology landscape for it, but we can't get the capital funding because of all the uncertainty involved. So to overcome these challenges of the industry today, we at HCL have launched Engage, which is a customer engagement and billing platform that's been designed based on industry gold standards and, over 25 years of our experience in replacing CIS systems. Engage brings together the technologies, the platforms, and capabilities to build a system of engagement that is not only scalable, but also affordable to build and run. Engage is built on SAP CRMB with all the components to support not only meter to cash process, but also marketing and campaign management for competitive markets. It includes the SAP multi-channel foundation to integrate with OpenText's EasyLink product for outbound communication using traditional channels like email, SMS, plus also social media. We're using Genesis for IVR and skill-based routing and virtual agent functions such as chat and email and SMS, where agents can actually respond to customers using these channels. This is important to deliver a customer engagement center rather than a customer interaction center to the agent, for that complete 360-degree view to the customer, to the agent, which includes the customer's digital and social media presence. Engage also comes with HCL assets, such as the exception management framework and the interaction management framework and real-time offer management shown here that we've built based on our experience of modernizing over 37 CIS systems globally, with 21 greenfield implementations in North America alone. So this deep experience has enabled us to build these assets and design artifacts that provide the predefined business processes and a tested architecture to utilities. Every functional component that you see over here in this slide and the business process delivered by them can not only be supported by our delivery centers, but also operated by our front office and back office professionals. So Engage can be fully hosted. Therefore, we provide all the infrastructure service to provision and manage the cloud. However, utility companies operate under several constraints similar to other industries: budgetary, security, labor, and the regulatory environment they operate under. Therefore, to meet every utility's unique circumstance, they require a tailored yet flexible solution. By controlling the levers shown, Engage can be customized on different continuums. So let's start with the first one, the transformation scope. So we know utilities like thinking big but starting small. So for those utilities, we lay out stepping stones in the right direction to start building just the multi-channel platform, for example. Some utilities, start with a technology refresh of their CIS system and just want the bare bones, or they want the CIS system along with an interface to the multi-channel platform. So that's basically the CIS plus multi-channels that you see on that continuum. Most utilities outsource, functions like collections and some of their value-added services like smart thermostats, if they're selling those, boilers, heaters, etc. And when we ask them how they communicate with these third parties, the response we get most of the time from these utilities is, hey, we cut a list and we send over this list to the third parties. So we can bring these third-party integrations for collections, payments, etc., all under the same fold to provide vendor management and a service, and you get one service desk, one service management tool, and one phone number for all issues. So basically, you have one hand to shake as opposed to five necks to choke. The second continuum on the infrastructure side. So let's say you're heavily vested in infrastructure and you've got your own data center, or for security reasons, you need a on-premise platform, so you can select that as well. If you don't want to incur the overheads of managing your data center, but are far away from your tech refresh cycle, so you have all the hardware for it, but you don't want the facilities management or the data center, then you can offer a private cloud. So we actually have a multi-million customer utility in the northeast of America, which has chosen to have their non-production environments on MS Azure, and the production environment is on-site. So this is the hybrid environment, if you want, which is very attractive to most utilities. And then there are some other utilities we're talking to who want to be completely on Microsoft Azure or in the public cloud. So on the operation side, so let's say after the transformation is complete, after you've implemented your customer engagement platform or your multi-channel platform, on the operation side, the utility can choose to run this platform in-house, can choose to run Engage in-house. But when we ask utilities, the highest risk in terms of system stability and average call handling time, for example, for a call center, lies in that first year after go live. So what we can do is to reduce that risk. We can run the call center and turn it over once it's reached steady state. So that's basically our transitional services. It also includes bubble staffing for some of the areas where we believe we're going to see spikes in demand. So most of the times we've seen that technology is being blamed for not meeting performance results. So we can operate, what we do to mitigate that is we operate a control group of call center agents. Let's say we run 50 seats in the call center, and we meet all the results for that group. So what that does is basically makes the utilities operations leads more accountable. They can't blame technology anymore. So that, and on the other side of the spectrum is managed services. So this is where we can run the call, not only few seats, but the actual run the call center and guarantee some of those outcomes and business benefits that were part of the business case. So on the next continuum, on the cost-benefit certainty side, we know that internal stakeholders don't sign up for these business benefits Most of the time because of uncertainty, or they don't trust the technology. There's this mistrust in technology. How many times have we heard that, hey, the technology isn't performing or isn't stable months after go live? How many times have we heard that, the utility commission hasn't approved the rate case because the utility can't ratify those business results and can't guarantee them? So depending on HCL's technical and operations responsibility that has been chosen in those top 3 rows, we can guarantee the business outcomes for cost-benefit certainty. The day you sign the contract is the day your business benefits can be guaranteed. Now let's look at the last continuum, the CapEx-OpEx construct. So we know that moving from CapEx to OpEx isn't improved economics for all utilities. Investor-owned utilities measured by EBITDA, for example, need that capital exposure, whereas municipalities or retailers or those utilities who are measured by earnings per share, they require both lower CapEx and OpEx. So what we've done is we've made the financial mechanism for Engage flexible to meet everyone's financial needs. So in short, we believe that utilities must explore ways to make their transformations more flexible, both financially and operationally, and also use outcome-based contracts to ensure that those business results and benefits have been attained. So Engage isn't just a concept or a prototype. All the slider bars, all those levers that you see here show the configuration for a multi-million customer utility in North America. So while Engage allows full flexibility in determining the right operational and commercial model for a specific organization, we typically see 3 engagement models: Engage Lite, Core, and Plus. So on the Lite side, it's basically the transformation of a new CIS system or multi-channel platform. And then the utility supports it internally and also operates it. For Engage Core, when the organizational focus of the company moves from more than just cost reduction to strategy and growth, they choose Core. We let the company's IT actually focus on innovation and advancing the CIS portfolio rather than supporting the infrastructure and the CIS system itself. For Engage Plus, this is basically, the biggest bang for the buck, largest O&M savings you realize over a year, and you also attain maximum business benefits because HCL not only supports and manages the system, but also runs and operates it. We are backed by contractual SLAs to guarantee the business and technical outcomes for Engage Plus. Engage is live and delivering results for over 1.1 million direct energies customers for gas and electric in DREG and regulated markets in Alberta, Canada. Some of you may be familiar with Direct Energy, but for those of you who aren't, Direct Energy is owned by the British energy group Centrica and operates as a retailer of electricity, natural gas, and other services in North America. The transformation for this, for HCL's Engage, covered 4 lines of business here. It was infrastructure hosting, the implementation itself of the new platform, support, and operations. Engage entailed an entire new system of engagement, not just the system of record for Direct Energy, and was remarkably completed in 18 months from blueprinting the system requirements to go live. On the solution landscape side, it involved full scope of SAP's CRMB, which is Customer Relationship Management Billing system, with also multi-channel services for inbound, outbound messaging, and some of the HCL assets, such as, the interaction management framework for predictive analytics, to guarantee first call resolution, and an exception management framework for achieving back office excellence. Engage for Direct Energy is fully hosted in HCL's managed private cloud. To support the system around the clock, we have consultants at our Direct Energy location in North America and at our global delivery centers in India. HCL is also the operator of Engage. So we have front office and back office agents operating the system, answering phone calls, responding to emails, clearing exceptions, executing collections from 3 different continents. So the champion challenger model that I was speaking to about earlier, having HCL having a control group, is actually implemented here. And we compare real-time performance metrics of our call centers. This helps promote a friendly form of competition to deliver not only the best results, but also helps us determine best practices and, rule out technology as the problem in some cases. So to remove risk from the equation at Direct Energy and provide complete certainty for the business case, HCL guaranteed over 40 key performance indicators, not just the ordinary not just the ordinary KPIs like average call handle time and first call resolution, but also regulatory compliance, customer satisfaction, and self-service adoption. So Direct Energy has been live on Engage for over 5 months, and we met 91% of those guaranteed KPIs in the first 2 weeks. The overall financial result has been a 25% reduction in O&M costs for Direct Energy. So to conclude, in the last decade, we've seen front office and smart grid as the drivers of IT modernization within utilities. And we believe that customer engagement will lead these initiatives in the years ahead. So with that, I would like to open the floor for some questions that Jill and I can answer in the remaining time.
Thank you, Perzad. So as you said, the House is now open to questions from the participants, and we'll cover questions on a first-come basis in the remaining time. So here we have our first question. Are most customers demanding more from their utility, or is it just a vocal minority?
I'll take that, Shweta. I think that it's not a matter anymore of having a vocal minority demanding things. I think that there's been such a shift in the way all of us conduct our everyday lives, even those of us who aren't in the millennials, that this has just become an expectation that people have, that all of us have, on how we engage with our retailers, our banks, and our utility companies. So it's not as if there are people basically, saying, I need you to have this, I need you to have that. But there are people who will be saying, I'm satisfied or I'm not satisfied with the service that I get, and that's how it comes about. You may not be able to put your finger on it, but I think it's clearly a transformation in digitization that we all feel in our lives. So it's going to hit everybody eventually, and already hits most of the population. Perzad, do you have any extra things to add here?
What we're seeing is that, utilities are developing capabilities to meet expectations such as mobile apps, document presentation, and archiving, natural language on the IVR. Things I showed in the blue box in one of my slides. But they're doing these internal projects and initiatives by consulting their business units, internal business units. So, for example, if you ask the customer service group, they'll want a predictive engine and probably 360-degree view capturing social sentiment in the customer interaction center. if you ask the web team, what should I be doing for customer engagement, they'll want more functionality online and, mobile and tablet compatibility. So, for example, if you ask your credit and collections department, they'll want prepay metering and advanced billing and usage monitoring. So what we've seen is this is a fragmented approach with individual business units building these capabilities in silos, creating the outcome of which is a disparate applications trying to talk to each other. And we know that we all know the pain points that come with disparate systems. So we are seeing more and more utilities asking us now, what are we going to do at an enterprise-wide level, organizationally wide? So it's not a vocal minority. We're seeing more and more utilities coming to us, asking us holistically, what should we be doing to approach customer engagement and to overcome our challenges?
The next question is, what are the most advanced utilities doing to support customer engagement?
This is Jill again. I think Perzad alluded to this in his last answer. And from our perspective, it's not, what particular technology are they adopting, what kind of mobile apps do they have, do they have gamification or not, are they have a Facebook page, are they on Twitter? It's more about pulling together within the organization representatives of the billing department, customer service, marketing, field service to really develop a unified, comprehensive, utility-wide strategy around the customer and making this not just an ad hoc group that meets every once in a while, but making this a continuous part of doing business, that there is a comprehensive strategy around the customer, that it isn't as siloed as Perzad mentioned, but they're really the various lines of business are working together to develop that strategy, to request things that they want, and for IT department and their service providers to be able to support those needs in the most cost-effective and efficient way that's possible. And those are the companies that are really kind of staying ahead of the curve, that are constantly getting together, thinking about what can they do next, what do their customers need, and what's the best way to support it from an IT perspective.
The next question is, what role will legacy CIS systems play in customer engagement in the next few years?
Well, this is Jill again, and I think Perzad covered that fairly well in his talk, that there will be legacy systems around. I believe that the legacy systems will have to be integrated with other systems to provide a better workflow and quick resolution of customers' issues. That integration will have to be there, and they'll have to be integrated with new types of services, web services or SaaS or some other types of business process outsourcing for those to work pretty seamlessly. And they'll also have to be able to supply data to be able to be analyzed. So I think that they're still an integral part of how utilities relate to customers, but I think that they'll need to be integrated and provide data access for decision-making in a way that they aren't for the most part right now. Perzad, any comments on that?
No, ditto to exactly what you said.
Now we have another one coming up here. We are a mid-sized utility in North America, and we have a web portal for customers, and we also have a mobile app where customers can view bills, make payments, etc. What else should we be doing in terms of customer engagement? That
is great, but web and mobile, I think Jill pointed this out in one of her slides. These are a given now. These are table stakes. And what's happening is customers are now drawing from other vanguard organizations like Amazon and Uber and eBay and comparing their utility against those world-class companies. They expect the same customer service and the experience that they're receiving from these companies from their utility now. So, for example, J.D. Power published a study recently and rated the top 25 brand champions. And we had 7 utilities out of the top 25. So that itself tells you that customers are now measuring satisfaction, customer satisfaction on an even keel with every company. So what should then utilities be doing, for example? It was, again, it was the capabilities shown in one of my slides, for example, like cross-channel continuity. So what is cross-channel continuity? So let's say you're trying to complete a transaction online on your utilities website and you get stuck. You're not getting anywhere. And what's the first thing you do now? You try and dial the call center. So guess what? You have to enter all that information all over again on the IVR. Either on the IVR or relay that information to the agent, and then they have to authenticate you and pull your information up, for example, and see what you were doing and where you got stuck. And now, let's imagine that if you clicked on the Contact Us button or link on your website, on the utilities website, and instead of you calling, being presented with a static list of phone numbers and you calling the call center, an agent actually called you. So the utility called you and knew exactly what was going on, and you didn't have to wait on the phone nor re-enter any of this information. So which means that the agent had contextually aware information to resolve your problem, and you had a seamless handoff between 2 channels. You initiated your transaction in one channel and seamlessly completed it in another. That is cross-channel continuity. That is what customers are now beginning to expect from every company, not just their utility, but every company they choose to interact with.
So we can take up the next question. We are using social media for program awareness and outage communication. What are some of the other utilities doing with social media?
Oh, that's a great question. Jill, can I take this one?
Sure.
All right. So let's look at an example. So when an agent is talking to the phone, it's to a customer over the phone, it's narrowcast. It's one-to-one communication. When an agent is responding to an email sent to them by a customer for an inquiry, it's narrowcast. It's one-to-one. And what are companies doing? It is they allow supervisors to whitejack into agent conversations. There are all these metrics and SLAs that the agents have to adhere to, right? And this is narrowcast. Now, look at social media. That's broadcast. That's where you're communicating with thousands of customers at one time. And what are utilities doing over there? A lot of the utilities we actually have spoken to, they have a fresh grads or intern somewhere in a room responding to those customer inquiries and disseminating information using social media. No SLAs, no governance, no structure around that. So that is step one. Utilities have to define that structure, because you've got to realize that social media is a very powerful tool. So then on the other side, when we ask utilities, what else are you doing with social media? Almost every utility is using social media for outage communication. And that's perfect. That's amazing. That's arguably the fastest way to get information across to your customers. But when we ask utilities, okay, so let's say a customer reports an outage on social media, what do you then do with it? And over 70%, analysts say over 70% of utilities are asking the customer to use a utility-preferred alternate channel to actually report that outage. So you just used Twitter to say your lights were out, and the utility responded saying, please call the call center and report that outage. And the remaining utilities, this was a majority, the remaining utilities are just taking that and passing that on to customer service. So here is an amazing opportunity to integrate social media with your back-end business system, with your CIS platform, so that the agent now is contextually aware, has all the information for that customer, and they can actually use some of these preferred channels to communicate with the customer.
Thank you, Jill and Perzad, for answering these questions for us. We do have a couple of more questions, but due to paucity of time, I request we take them up offline. Now, as we conclude the webinar, I would like to thank you all for your participation. I would like to thank the speakers for sharing their insights with the audience. The participants may check out the microsite for more information. You may also send us an email at engageme@hcl.com. These details can be seen on your screens right now. Thank you.